left off.
I'm going to pick up where we left off, and that's with elementary kids. And these are the kids that are ages 6 to 9. You know, and 6 to 9, they have the power of being skillful, and we need to include learning to do things in their own way. So they're learning to be independent. They're exploring the importance of rules. 6 to 9 are rule-based kids. Think about playing a game with them. You got to follow every rule, and they're well aware of that. They also, at this point, though, are still kind of teasing out. They're still learning to separate that reality from fantasy. And they tend to test rules as a part of being this age to see how firm you are, how hard and stone are these things, and how loving is the environment that I'm living in.
So when we look at what early elementary age children experience during divorce, what we see is they typically have very strong feelings. They, you know, when you think in your mind's eye about a 9-year-old, that's a pretty big kid. And 6-year-old, my daughter, my gosh, 6 years old, she's very loving, very clinging. You know, it would be pretty hard on her to see a major adjustment in the household with mom and dad separating, going to different places. Mm-hmm. You know, so they would show those strong feelings of sadness or guilt or anger or loneliness. You would expect them to show that. Uh-huh. You know, they'll miss the other parent. They'll miss them terribly.
Hugely,
You may find the child crying. It may be very difficult for the parent to cope with that. They may have a difficult time concentrating in school. Grades may be affected. They may fear that one parent may never love them or never see them again, and that can be incredibly painful. They may side with one parent against the other, mainly because of a feel of neediness, and worst of all, if you will, they may be there providing emotional support to the parent against the other one,
right?
And that's really kind of sick stuff, but. You'll see children try to do that. You'll see them try to go to mommy and say, it'll be okay. And you can talk to me, mommy, or go to daddy and say, daddy, it'll be okay. You can talk to me.
At this stage, kids tend to love parents still unconditionally, and they hear their story, and it tears them up that they see their parent in pain. And so they'll see mom in pain, and it tears them up. And when they're with dad, they see dad in pain, and it tears them up in different ways.
So when we look at signs of distress in early elementary school, we go for you right there.
There's significant change in their grades. Lots of times they aren't doing their schoolwork, they're not concentrating, and they begin to have an attitude about school. They don't like it. It's getting in the way. They want to spend a lot of time moping around. They're lots of times crying. They're acting sad. They may put on their actor or actress hat and be very dramatic. Lots of times here you'll see an increase in physical symptoms. They have a stomach ache. When they get up, they call from school, I have a stomach ache, or I have a headache, and so you see a lot of that. And they lack enthusiasm.
When we look at what parents
what you
might
can
do to help, first of all, never say anything demeaning about the other parent.
Never.
That doesn't help anybody. Accept the child's feelings, no matter what they may be. Don't tell them they're wrong. Don't deny them. Let the child know that you want him or her to love and spend time with the other parent. Don't say things like, I'll never want you to see your daddy's no good, or don't do that kind of stuff. Help the child see the family, see that the family has changed, but it's still a family.
Right.
Don't encourage your child's hopes that you and the other parent will ever reunite.
Right.
Don't do that. Let that alone. Tell them and show them individually that you love them and have positive expectancy from the other partner, and do all that you can to keep the other parent involved.
Right. Absolutely.
That's a mistake many people make, and that is they're not going to make any notions of what the other parent might do or say, and it's okay for you to say no. They're going to see you. It's going to be okay.
And then we're going to move to stage 5, which is our preteen stage. That's what it's called now, preteen, 9 to 12. And here, these kids are much more independent from their parents. So they're starting to do things with their friends. They spend a little more time away from their parents. Friends become very important to them as they socially learn to interact. They have big concerns about day-to-day issues that will affect their school life, their social life at school, their ability to interact with their friends. That's where these kids are, preteens.
And what they experience in divorce is, conflict over, what they want for themselves, what they want from other members of the family. They may be torn between the parents. They're most likely to feel angry directly to one or both.
Right.
Sometimes the parent, they'll take sides. They'll be with mom and they'll attack dad, or they'll be with dad. Although sometimes they'll do both.
Yep.
They may feel ashamed or embarrassed about the divorce. We've known some kids not to tell anybody for 6 months that mom and dad are separated and they're not happy. And often they worry about the parents and they feel a tremendous responsibility for their well-being. What can I do to make mom happy? What can I do to make dad happy?
Mm-hmm. And so they show signs of distress by acting as though the divorce doesn't affect them. That's you guys, nothing to do with me. Boys tend to have more behavior-related issues than girls do. They may start to perform poorly in school. They may get into more fights with their friends or even at school or with kids that they don't even know. Girls tend to bend over backwards to try to please. There may be an increase, again, here in physical symptoms, headaches, stomach aches, as a part of trying to be responsible and keep my eye on a parent. They may do some sexual experimentation, and this would be considered premature. Okay, and then they may take on the parent role of the family. They may become, the little man if they're the boy, and they're going to be the dad role in the house, or the mom role if they're an older girl at this stage.
What parents can do to help? Some of this is the same as we've said previously, but accept the child's feelings for what they are. Don't argue. Don't tell them that they're wrong. Never say anything condemning or demeaning about the other parent in front of the child. That just hurts them more and it just raises more internal fear and anger. Mm-hmm. Let the child know that you want him to love both parents. I want you to love me. I want you to love the other parent. Mm-hmm. Don't discourage your child's hopes that there may be. Don't encourage your child with hopes that we may reunite later. That's not something you want to do.
Right. Help the child see that even though the family's changed, it is still a family. We're going to redefine what family is. Mm-hmm. Here's the family with mom. Here's the family with dad. Here's the routines. They need all of that there. They need us, again, to show and tell them that they are loved. So we need to figure out what that looks like for that child and be sure that we're doing it.
And do all you can do to help them see the other parent. This is no different from the earlier stage. Many of the same things we just repeated. But again, you're just doing it more. You're doing it again. When we look at 13 to 18-year-olds, developmental task here is getting themselves ready to leave home. We say that, but today a lot of kids don't leave home at 18 because they just can't get on with it. It's expensive. It's a difficult time. They are unable to look realistically at the future. They don't see mom and dad, but they don't see divorce as a natural outcome. They will challenge it. They will work, if you will, to question what's going on, but also, if you will, at this stage, they lack real-world experience, and it may be that they begin to believe that bad things happen to good people, and that's just something that they're going to have to work to accept and figure out for themselves.
Right. So an adolescent, a teenager, may experience anxiety about leaving home during this stage because they view it as another change to the family.
And they may remember some of the things they did or said, and when mom and dad fought, and they begin to think, well, gosh, this is my fault. If me and my brother got along, or me and my sister got along, if I'd gotten good grades in school, but gosh, it's all my fault.
Mm-hmm. And that may also translate to they believe because the other parent left that the other parent doesn't want to see him anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, they translate that to you're divorcing my mom and you're divorcing me. And nobody ever said that to them. So, some of that not quite trueness.
It does affect their future plans because, when a household changes and the parents break up, it affects the finances and the stability. So they may have had a plan that they were going to go to work with dad, or they may have had a plan that, I'm going to go to a private college, which we can afford. And when the financial foundation of the family adjusts and now we have a whole different game plan, they see it as impacting their future.
Yep. They may feel rejected by a parent or neglected, that they're not getting the attention that they should when they spend time with the parent, or the parent isn't trying to be as involved as they think they ought to be.
And other than feeling frightened or burdened about this whole thing because they didn't want it, but it's got to happen, there's an idea that they may resent both parents. Signs of distress in adolescence, leaving home to be out on their own earlier than planned. We've known teens to say, "I'm not doing this. I'm going to live with my aunt. I'm going to live with my brother."
Or they run away. They hang out with friends. They're just gone. They don't want to be accountable to any parent about where they are and what they're doing.
And sometimes when they see mom or dad having a tough adjustment, they say, "Well, I'm not leaving home. I'm sticking around more." Mm-hmm. They have fear of leaving home. They They become extremely negative, again, of both parents. We have seen a lot of this, increased sexual behavior or increased aggression. And then finally, this idea of substance abuse, being suspended from school, getting into fights. I mean, these are all the warning signs that the kids are not doing well.
Not adjusting
now,
well.
what can you do to help?
Model for your teenager how to deal with their feelings. This, they do need to be learning here, and unfortunately, you're gonna have to model for them at a time when you may be having difficulty with your own. You may need to let them know a little more.
A few weeks ago, we talked about conflict style. We talked about how to compromise or how to collaborate. In a troubled relationship, this may not be your strength. You've heard me say in the past, sometimes the thing that best needs to be done is not the thing I do the best. So you may have to work through and learn some of how to be a better communicator, even after you're divorced, not so much for the sake of the divorce, but for the sake of the children. How can I teach them to process feelings, okay? Mm-hmm. Always remember that you are a parent for life. That doesn't change. Your job is you have to offer love and encouragement and support. You have to encourage your child to go on with their life, that this is transition. We'll get through. We'll do fine. Your dad loves you. Your mom loves you. We are a family for life. We're just not living in the same household. Mm-hmm. And therefore, understand that I want to encourage you. How can I be there for you as you need help? Let you know that hasn't changed. And the other parent, they're there too. Work on that.
Right.
You have to give verbal and emotional permission that it's okay to know and love me, and it's okay for you to know and love your other partner.
Right.
And I give you that unconditionally. You don't have to earn that.
Right. They need to know that it's okay as a part of that role. Okay with you, even though, you think, it's not a big deal. Don't take it personal if they choose to spend more time with one parent. They may have similar likes. They may have already spent more time with that parent when we were living in a common household. Don't take it personal, but do be sure that you remain involved with your child as much as possible by telephone, by time with them, by email. They need both of their parents involved with them.
If you're the parent that moved out, understand that you've got to remain as involved as possible, which means you've got to make a lot more effort to maintain that connection. You've got to go pick them up, bring them out, do things with them, not just be with them. When you're with them, do things with them. Show them that they care. Communicate. As we talked about those things that overcome these ideas of divorce, we've said over and over again, accept the child's feelings, let them talk to you, be with them at their level, encourage them that life's not over, that we're still a family, we just don't live apart. These are all important things that help the child transition through divorce and understand what they learn from you, they will carry forward into the next relationship. And then this may guarantee them that they will have a better chance at having a relationship.
That's right.
Now, look, we've discussed a lot of information tonight.